There are moments in basketball that feel less like a routine matchup and more like a cinematic event. This was one of those nights. The Los Angeles Lakers walked into their final regular season clash against the Denver Nuggets, carrying an undercurrent of mystery. Would they establish their dominance one last time? Or would the Nuggets, fresh off a scorching performance against the Warriors, expose every weakness in the Lakers' armor? From the moment the ball was tipped, one unstoppable force emerged: Luka Dončić. Even though he's neither a Laker nor a Nugget in real life, in this hypothetical scenario, he'd been dealt to Los Angeles just weeks prior. Fans were instantly buzzing about what he would do against Denver. What actually happened out there on the floor went beyond mere hype. It was the kind of performance that gets stored in the memory bank of opposing coaches, highlight junkies, and loyal fans alike. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the basketball world found itself shaken. But this showdown wasn't just about Luka. Behind the scenes, rumors and speculations hinted that the Lakers' locker room was in flux, with question marks about how certain role players would handle the addition of Dončić so late in the season. Meanwhile, the Nuggets, missing their traditional anchor Nikola Jokic, carried their own share of hush-hush drama. Whispers around the league suggested that some of Denver's bench players were lobbying for more floor time, potentially rattling the team's chemistry. None of that mattered once the game started, because every second on the court turned into a mesmerizing display of skill, grit, and sometimes even trash talk. This is the tale of how one unstoppable star clashed with a team desperate to prove it could slow him down. How all the strategic planning in the world sometimes isn't enough to overcome basketball genius, and how role players can unexpectedly step into the spotlight to alter the outcome, or at least try. By the time you finish hearing the full story, you'll realize just how close we might be to an explosive playoff series that leaves the entire Western Conference on edge. If you think you've already heard every shocking rumor about these two rosters, think again. Because this game was a statement, a thunderous warning that nobody is safe when the stakes get high. Before the game tipped off, the Nuggets were riding high. Fresh from a demoralizing win over the Warriors, they looked at the Lakers, especially a Lakers team still integrating a superstar like Luka, and decided that the best approach was a ruthless pick-and-roll switch strategy. Word on the street was that Denver's coaching staff had spent hours dissecting game film, hoping they could craft a blueprint that would keep Luka under wraps. If they switched on every screen and pressured Dončić's passing lanes, perhaps they could disrupt his rhythm. Early on, though, Dončić effortlessly shredded that plan. Each time Denver threw him a switch, he read it like a children's book. When the Nuggets placed Aaron Gordon on him, he used patient footwork and subtle shoulder bumps to carve out just enough space for his trademark step-back jumper. When they tried to help from the nail with Bruce Brown or any other wing, he whipped passes around defenders and found open teammates cutting baseline. It's one thing to chalk this up to a hot hand, but it looked more like the Nuggets were stuck in quicksand. They had the effort, but every time they tried to adjust, Dončić made a new move. Speculation surfaced almost immediately. If Gordon, an athletic wing known for decent lateral movement, couldn't hold ground, who else could Denver rely on? Peyton Watson, still a young up-and-comer, tried to use his length. Yet Dončić showed he doesn't fear length. He countered with spins, hesitation dribbles, or found ways to draw fouls. It was a basketball chess match, but Denver never really seemed to make the right moves at the right times. While Dončić's unstoppable runs have caused plenty of teams to question their entire defensive approach, the rumors swirling were that Coach Malone was getting visibly frustrated on the sidelines. Local Denver insiders claim the staff had spent the entire week planning to exploit Dončić's alleged preference for slow starts. Clearly, that report was a bust. Watching Dončić pick apart the Nuggets made it feel as though the Lakers were playing on a different speed setting. And yet, the Nuggets had their pride. Gordon wasn't about to let one quarter define the outcome. As the minutes ticked by, tension mounted. Dončić's dominance was the headline, but the subtext was that Denver believed they could ride Gordon's physical defense to eventually wear Luka down. Little did they know, by the end of the first quarter, It looked like the blueprint they believed in was falling apart faster than anyone expected. But the story wasn't just about Dončić piling up points, because the Lakers had a secret weapon that Denver kept forgetting about. Before the Lakers could tilt everything around Dončić, they needed a strong supporting cast. Enter Jackson Hayes, that tall, springy big man who occasionally vanishes from the stat sheet, but can also erupt for game-changing plays in the paint. In the opening quarter, he refused to be just a bystander. Every time Luka got doubled, Hayes slipped into a vacant spot near the rim. One crisp pass later, the backboard was shaking, and the Nuggets defenders were caught staring at each other, unsure of how Hayes got so open. For most of the season, Hayes has been riddled with talk that he's inconsistent or too raw to be considered a reliable piece on a championship-caliber squad. Yet in this particular showdown, he embraced the role of the unstoppable rim runner. Some fans openly wondered if something changed behind the scenes. Maybe a new workout routine, or perhaps specialized sessions with assistant coaches that improved his timing. Hayes wouldn't confirm any rumors, but he looked more confident than ever. Meanwhile, the Lakers took full advantage of every Nuggets miscue. Denver's rotations were often a step late, perhaps because they remained glued to the idea of doubling Dončić. Each time the Nuggets decided to trap him on the perimeter, the Lakers' ball movement soared. Swing passes flew from one side of the court to the other, leaving defenders in a constant scramble. The firestarter effect became contagious. Once the supporting cast hit outside shots, the floor opened up for drives, cuts, and more wide-open jumpers. Even when the Nuggets momentarily contained Dončić, they still had to deal with players like Gabe Vincent knocking down threes, or Austin Reaves finishing tough layups after a quick shot fake. The collective synergy of the Lakers' offense felt like a wave. Denver was forced to scramble, and that panic led to easy runouts, second-chance opportunities, and demoralizing tip-ins by Hayes. Denver fans on social media started to gripe that maybe Coach Malone should have used a different plan, maybe a specialized zone or forcing certain Lakers to shoot. But once you're in the heat of a game with a shriveling margin, it's not always easy to pivot your entire strategy. The Lakers were on fire early, and the building in Los Angeles buzzed with playoff-like energy. Yet, just when it looked like LA might go up by 40 before halftime, one player on Denver's roster decided that enough was enough. Russell Westbrook has always been a magnet for drama. Earlier in the season, rumor had it that he was disgruntled about his role. Some folks said he hated coming off the bench. Others claimed he was at odds with the coaching staff. Whatever the truth, Westbrook took the floor in this game determined to remind everyone that the word former MVP still belongs next to his name. From the second quarter onward, he began pushing the pace in transition, slicing through the Lakers' defense like a hot knife through butter. The interesting subplot here was that the Lakers staff seemed willing to concede open perimeter looks to him. Why fight it? Westbrook's three-point shot is historically shaky. But in the open court, especially after a missed shot or a turnover, he's lethal. Once the Lakers recognized that, they dropped back on him, trying to clog the lane with bodies. Westbrook, however, used it to his advantage. He'd get a half step on a defender, then whip the ball out to the corners where Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. started draining shots. This strategic cat-and-mouse was the smaller game within the larger blowout. If Westbrook could get some support from his wings, the Nuggets might slice into the lead. If the Lakers shut him down in transition, they could coast to an easy victory. As it turned out, each small success by Denver seemed to come from Westbrook's controlled chaos. Yet that chaos also contributed to some unforced turnovers, jump passes that ended up in the second row, or off-target bullet passes that soared past open shooters. Rumors flared online about whether Westbrook and Gordon had tension over who should be the go-to guy in Nikola Jokic's absence. You wouldn't have guessed it by how they played together. They looked surprisingly cohesive, feeding off each other's energy and fueling a mini run that pulled the Nuggets back from the brink. However, the Lakers had an answer of their own: Austin Reaves. Quietly, Reaves had been working with the coaching staff to refine his decision-making. Whenever Dončić got doubled, Reaves stepped into a pseudo-point guard role, creating opportunities for others and finding pockets of space in the paint. This dynamic forced Denver to guess who would orchestrate the offense next, Luka or Reeves. More often than not, the Nuggets guessed wrong, and no matter what Westbrook tried, the Lakers found ways to keep the scoreboard tilted in their favor. But there was still one more chapter of drama waiting in the wings. With the Nuggets trailing by a daunting margin, the second half opened like a brand new ball game, at least from Aaron Gordon's perspective. This was the portion of the night when the score might trick you into thinking the contest was over. But Gordon decided the fat lady wasn't singing yet. He started punishing smaller defenders, smashing through them in the post. That bruising style of offense drew a collective roar from Nuggets faithful who traveled to LA, still believing a miraculous comeback was possible. It wasn't just brute force. Gordon also continued his hot three-point shooting from the corner. For most of his career, he's hovered around a questionable percentage from beyond the arc. This season, and especially in this game, he looked like a sniper. Whether it was the product of advanced analytics telling him which zones to prioritize, or just a hot streak, no one can say for sure. But every swish felt like a statement. This is a different Aaron Gordon than you remember from the dunk contests. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more basketball analysis.